It has been a season full of great action, photo finishes, bumping and banging battles for position, and an intriguing championship fight. Tonight, the Bootleg Racing League crowns a Grand National Series champion. Who will take home the hardware? We're about to find out on the Global SimRacing Channel. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the virtual New Smyrna Speedway for the final race of Season 6 for the Bootleg Racing League's Grand National Series. I'm Justin Prince. Alongside the booth tonight is Nicholas Meg. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. This track has been a series staple for many campaigns. Here are the closing stages and the early stages of the season. Let's learn more about it with our GSRC track guide.
Welcome to New Smyrna. Located just a few miles down the road on I-95 to its more celebrated neighbor, the Daytona International Speedway, New Smyrna is a hotbed of short track activity. During Daytona Speed Weeks, New Smyrna is the place to be, with races every night during Speed Weeks that bring out some of the biggest names in all of auto racing. New Smyrna is a fixture of the oval career path, so chances are you've had several races here. Whether it be a late model, the wheel and modified, the street stock, the list is endless. Famous NASCAR drivers started their career here, and the track has proven to be an increasingly popular test venue among NASCAR's teams. 20 degrees of banking in the corner awaits our drivers today with 7 degrees on the front stretch. High banks, high speed, high excitement is the name of the game here at New Smyrna. Having to put together a lap here is extremely tricky, as you have to be on top of your game, not hit the wall, and manage that transition from the corners to the straightaways. Adding to the challenge of all of that, New Smyrna is a very narrow track. Pinpoint precision is an absolute must. All in all, it's widely agreed that New Smyrna is a legendary Florida short track, and you're going to see why today. Big time action, short tempers, and a shorter track. New Smyrna has it all. Enjoy today's broadcast.
That's a look at your GSRC track guide. It's a very cloudy night for tonight's action. Let's talk about this racetrack, Nicholas. As we get ready to go racing here to close out the season, your thoughts on this facility for the Arcmanard Series machines this series utilizes?
Yeah, thanks, Justin. It is such a fitting way to crown a champion tonight, because we're just down the road from one of the tracks where trophies are, pretty famously handed out, that being of Daytona International Speedway, just down the road here at New Smyrna. You know, a lot of people say that these half-mile, this one being 0.48 miles exactly, these short tracks that are run Friday, Saturday nights with the NASCAR home tracks crowd, a lot of people say that they might resemble cookie cutters. They're all one and the same. What's the difference anyway? I think the quirk to this one that sets it apart from all the other ones is just how deceptive it is. You get down there, entering turn 1 and turn 3, and the track, it looks like it widens out a little bit. You can maybe be a little more gracious with your apex, but no, that really is just the track moving up the hill and into the aggressive banking. So you really got to watch out, because hitting these apexes wrong here, lap after lap for 100 laps tonight, that'll really throw you off guard.
It's going to be very tricky tonight. Several drivers throughout the practice session have already had spins coming through the corners, and that's been a commonplace for trouble in the past here, especially along its 23 degrees of banking in the corners. But when it comes to the numbers for the championship fight, one thing to consider is that James Lowe, depending on car attendance tonight, could clinch the championship with a start. He has a 16-point advantage over Justin Mornan entering this evening, and Justin Mornan, keep in mind, had been running a part-time schedule for much of the campaign. Austin Belke, who's won a couple championships in BRL competition already this evening, we'll get to that in a little bit more, 17 points back as well, looking to take away second spot with another good solid finish. J.R. Shepard, part-time schedule, 4th in the standings, 44 points back. That's despite 7 victories on the campaign. Jeffrey Harden rounds out the top 5, 57 points back, looking to secure a top 5 championship run this evening. With that, let's take a look at our race details for tonight, Nicholas, as we clinch things up for tonight.
Absolutely. Like you said there, you can see at the top, it's the season finale. It's a nice round, even 100-lap shootout. No tire changes going to be necessary tonight. One fast repair if you do run into some trouble. And as always, the grid is going to be set by inverting the top 8 from the previous race, back from round number 10.
So that's going to make things interesting, as well as it always has been in BRL Grand National Series competition. Let's take a look towards your weather conditions as we are in the midst of final practice. It is a hot one tonight. 86 degrees Fahrenheit, overcast skies, 89 degrees the track temp, with the winds gusting at 10 to 11 miles an hour. So a fairly greasy track for the late night conditions here in Sim, just past 8 p.m., almost 8:30, Nicholas.
Yeah, it's a humid one for sure, as so many of these ones in Florida are, right along the coast here, like I mentioned. And yeah, they might be slipping and sliding. The tire management, we see that importance at every short track in this series, but tonight especially, I think these drivers are going to be feeling it, especially after some of the longer runs.
At the top of the board, by the way, for practice is J.R. Shepard at 18.657, James Lowe, Adam Shane, Matthew Thunhorst. You're following along with in fourth with an 18.788. Justin Mornan in the 18.8 rounds out the top 5. And when it comes to this series, keep in mind, it's always so critical to save the tires, and this has been a track where it's so difficult to do so because drivers like Mornan in the past, they've burned the right rear tire off and have been snapped loose around this facility on the long run.
Yeah, and that's certainly not what you're going to want to do in these humid conditions. You know, they burn it off coming out of turn 2 or turn 4, and you can slide it onto the front stretch really easily. And yeah, it'll help you out for the first few laps. It'll help you rotate out of the corner, get back up to speed. But you got 100 laps tonight, you're going to have to pace yourself.
One of the noteworthy notes as well is Jason Menda having his very solid practice run as well, 6th quickest in 18.851. But we talked about one of the drivers to keep in mind, Austin Belke, entering tonight's action. The Different Path Motorsports machine enters tonight's Grand National Series event in the 24 with the Street Stock Series Championship, I should say, and the Tour Modified Championship. So a 2-time BRL champion now at the conclusion of this evening, already a 7-point advantage over Matthew Thunhorst in the Street Stock Series. Tour Modifies, it was a 4-point advantage over Donnie Moore after those races just in the past couple of hours, Nicholas. A strong championship run for him, his best season in BRL competition.
Yeah, right now he's not got a very fast practice time as we're right on board with him. He's down second to last right now of all the drivers that have set a time there. So you know, it's not the race pace. He might just be setting some laps right now out there that are not very reflective of his pace, taking it easy. But as he moves up a spot, as I say that, of course. But yeah, hopefully he's able to find pace here tonight and cap off the season with a good showing.
He's talked about this in the past where he's focused a lot more so on the long run pace than the hot lap pace. Here in these sessions, 19 flat. His quickest time, 13th quickest on the board, and you can tell really trying to work in the long run. But one thing to also note is you see that sponsor that's on the hood of Adam Shane. That sponsor is coming on board next season for the Grand National Series. Gargamel's Kitchen, a food-grade nitrous oxide provider located in Denver, Colorado, become the primary sponsor for the 7th season starting June 26th for BRL's Grand National Series. Huge to have the BRL have a title sponsor come on board for this series.
Yeah, really awesome. Well deserved. This series, of course, we know it's been around for a long time. It's great to see more partners get involved in it from a business perspective. Keep these guys running.
Absolutely. And of course, one of the drivers you've seen running for years has been J.R. Shepard. He has been very dominant this season. But of course, this year has missed races, Nicholas, and with no drop week in the championship compared to the past, that has in turn factored into where it's not been the season we've seen him once more win a championship. This year seen so many different drivers come in his place to be able to fight for this year's title.
Yeah, it's J.R. Shepard. He's a guy right now, we see him with the fastest time right there in practice by over a 1/10 of a second. And you know, we know Shepard's a guy. He's got a lot of crowns on the shelf. Not going to get one this season just because of those missed races, but certainly he's been dominant when he does show up. And so far tonight, looking like it might be the same. I'd watch out if I was some of these other drivers.
He's been very successful here in the past as well. And when it comes to tonight, overall then, how do you try and approach this race to try and make sure you're good on both the short run and the long run to be able to cut your way through the traffic, but also make sure you have the life in the tires later on in the race?
Yeah, one of the keys I think is going to be, a lot of people get fed up with they get caught up in the points, they get caught up in the standings and where they run positionally over the course of the year. And being the season finale, you gotta just treat this as a normal race. These guys are phenomenal at what they do, saving the tires, getting there to the end, and then having a competitive car in the last 10 laps. These guys, I think they've got that down. They've just got it. If you're a guy, especially like Austin Belke, who's, you're in a fight in the championship positions between 1 point separating you and another driver. You got to treat this as any other race. And really, I think if you're there at the end, you'll find yourself. It'll be reflected in the standings.
And along with Todd Liston now, as you see him trying to dodge some cars in trouble in practice. See how squirrely some of these competitors have been getting. Keep in mind, there are some shufflings about for Season 3's lineup as well, because the Straight Stock Series we talked about, as well as the Tour Modified Series, had been staples for the past few seasons or so for Saturday nights. Now, on Saturday nights, with the Modified Series moving to Friday evenings as an invitational series for 100 laps there, the Late Model Series comes into play, as well as the Pro Truck Series, which had originally raced on Friday evenings, believe, as well. So some shufflings about with the schedule as well, Nicholas, for which cars and track combinations are featured.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we see in the BRL is with the expanding number of disciplines. These drivers, you get the big fields of big grid counts, and like you mentioned, there were some drivers competing in different series. You have some asphalt drivers, some dirt drivers, and isn't that so reflective of the routes that these guys are coming from too? The local short tracks that they're supporting in the real world, where you got dirt tracks, you got asphalt tracks, and you have just phenomenal communities around both of them and together.
Absolutely. And the interesting thing when it comes to the series as well is the fact that it goes through various different tracks throughout the schedule as well. Next season, Thompson Speedway returns to schedule, but Concord Speedway is going to be an intriguing one. That's going to be one of the early races for next season's slate of races.
Yeah, that's one to mark on your calendars. I'll tell you that much. That's a tricky one there.
Going to make things very intriguing in the early stages. That would be race 2, in fact, of 2021 Season 3's BRL slate of races. But as we approach the final minute of practice here, let's get back to the discussion when it comes to the race itself tonight. Who do you feel are going to be some of the favorites outside of J.R. Shepherd that you're keeping an eye on to try and compete for this victory?
Well, you got to look to Justin Morton, and not just because he's sitting there second, certainly sitting well in the points, has had a phenomenal season himself, and he's certainly going to be wanting to cap this off with a win as well. And Adam Shane, like you mentioned, he's got that big sponsor on board tonight. He's trying to do them proud. That always adds pressure to drivers, whether they say it does or not. I'm not sure there's data to back that up, but I think all drivers know that when they've got extra pressure on them, they're able to perform. And Shane's already running 4th place right now in practice, so I'd be interested to see if that carries over to the race. It's
been intriguing to see what Shane's been able to do as a very impressive paint scheme tonight. Throwback for Kurt Smith, who always seems to throw back to Mark Martin this evening. Our director, very pumped up to see this car on the track. Mark Martin put a lot of success in this machine. Kurt Smith 14th best in practice to close things out for the session with this car.
I mean, how could you not love this paint scheme? I mean, Mark Martin, phenomenal stuff, especially having that on a short track looks phenomenal.
Especially under the lights, as practice is now wrapping up, which means it's time to make our way towards our starting grid and see how they'll shape up under the lights and under the clouds here at New Smyrna Speedway. With the invert tonight, things are about to get interesting after some of the shuffling in the last race action, as the boss man, Lowell Jewell, will bring us to the green flag this evening with Austin Belke in second. Donnie Moore starts in third with James Lowe in fourth position. Matthew Thunhorse in fifth position. Justin Morton, J.R. Shepard round out the invert with the 10s tonight. Adam Shane will start in eighth. Ryan Seneker starts in ninth position. Bruce Pearson rounds out your top 10, Nicholas.
Kurt Smith and Todd Liston, the 6 and the 87, are going to be right behind in row number 6. Row 7 is going to go to Jason Menda and Ruben Altus, and Mike Holloway and Mike Allen. A couple of Mikes there in the last row tonight. 15th and 16th. They'll have their work cut out for them as well.
Let's look top to bottom at your running order for tonight. Once again, your track conditions, 86 degrees Fahrenheit, overcast skies. With 88 degrees Fahrenheit, the track temp winds have calmed down to 7 to 6 miles per hour to the northeast. Humidity at a fairly high 58%. On iRacing Day, May 15th, 2021, in sim time, 8:36 p.m. With that as the drivers now roll, your keys to victory for tonight.
Just got to be patient. You know, these guys know that. They gotta be patient, pace themselves, but don't get too relaxed. You got to stay on top of things, especially with the tricky track conditions. You always got to be there at a moment's notice here at New Smyrna.
It's the question of which driver will take home the final checkered flag of the season. We'll have to wait and see as one more pace lap before we get rolling. See the view from Donnie Moore, trying to focus himself up. Already a couple drivers just trying to warm up their tires, make sure they're up to temperature before we take the green. And now the drivers are set to go behind the iRacing pace car. Final race of Season 6 for the BRL's Grand National Series is all set to go from New Smyrna Speedway. The boss man, Lowell Jewell, in control of the field. Green flag is out. We're underway. And a great start by Lowell Jewell, already leading by 3 car lengths, as James Lowe on the top side, trying to take away third as they make their way on the exit of 3 and 4.
It got close, almost a little beating and banging there at the exit of turn 4, but James Lowe is indeed going to take that third place position. He's going to fall right in line behind Austin Belke, who had another great start.
And it seems like the top line has become the conga line for some of the contenders in this series, wanting to try and get around Donnie Moore. J.R. Shepard stuck in the bottom for now. He's backed it up and is elected to stay on that bottom line. And we've seen the second line in the past come into play a little bit for some of these position battles. It seems to be coming into play off the start. Justin Morton clear.
Yeah, Justin Morton's going to be a threat. Oh, as they spin behind him.
Donnie Moore brings out the caution as we are under yellow for the first time tonight. And he ended up getting J.R. Shepard as well in the bits of contact. Donnie Moore gets the worst of it, though, as we take a look at our GSRC replay machine to see this incident.
You'll see J.R. Shepard there with those bright green numbers come in here and just have nowhere to go. There he is. That's a tough break.
Looked like Donnie Moore trying to lock up the brakes there as soon as he lost the back end there.
Yeah, didn't have any help just initially. All went around by himself there.
See some of the bodywork crinkle up and down as he makes the contact. Donnie Moore, significant left side damage, has already made his way to the pit lane. It's been a disastrous season for the 26. J.R. Shepard, meanwhile, does still go up to 6th position with the incident. So already under yellow for the first time tonight. We're just 5 laps completed so far for the evening. But man, that top line looked like it was moving early.
I agree, especially Justin Morton. Some of the drivers looked like they might have been struggling up there. James Lowe certainly made it work on the first lap, but I couldn't tell how much of that was just because it was a restart. But Justin Morton, a couple of laps in, 2 or 3 laps in, he was still making it work. He got around Matthew Thunhorse that way. So we'll have to keep an eye on him.
An incredible season, keep in mind, for that 8 machine. He has been a contender in a lot of different races this season. As we get the one to go signal.
I think Lowell Jewell was the guy who didn't want to see that caution the most because he had such a good start there, such a good jump. Looked like he was going to set sail.
So it's the boss man, Lowell Jewell, Austin Belkey, James Lowe, Justin Morton, Matthew Thunhorst, J.R. Shepard, Bruce Pearson, Adam Shane, the top 8. Seneca and Liston round out the top 10. As the iRacing pace car is off, green flag is out. We're back underway. Another good launch by the 19. Austin Belkey already under attack fiercely for second.
Side by side, and Belkey stuck on the outside of James Lowe. Neck and neck, though.
Nearly a bit of contact in the bottom line. Matthew Thunhorst trying to get to the brakes. James Lowe trying to get clear still on that bottom line of the 24. Austin Belkey not giving up easily, though. Trying to pinch him down a little bit.
I think Thunhorst and Morton have a lot of pace there as well, but they're just boxed in right now behind the 99 of the 24. They've got nowhere to go.
Tough place to go right now for these competitors. As the boss man, Lowell Jewell, continues to lead up in front of them. Austin Belkey may get himself clear for second here. Yes, he does. He's now up to second squarely, fully. And Justin Morton now applies the pressure for the battle for third position.
Belkey got a little squirrely there. Couldn't quite make it work on the outside through 3 and 4 that time. That almost lost him a handful of positions.
J.R. Shepard, meanwhile, fills the hole along Matthew Thunhorst, boxes the 8 machine in the bottom line. Now Belkey's now focused on that battle up in front with Lowell Jewell for the race lead as you see the Hornet's Nest behind.
That 99 was struggling early.
Absolutely. The 19 goes up the racetrack meanwhile. The 24 of Austin Belkey takes the race lead away. That's her first lead change of the night. Justin Morton trying to follow him on the bottom line. J.R. Shepard, now he's boxed in right behind Lowell Jewell. Lowell Jewell seems to be really
got one
struggling
sideways.
here. As Ryan Seneca brings us under caution for the second time.
Looks like he just got a little wide in the entrance of turn 3 and 4. Washed up, didn't even go all the way around.
Great job locking it up to avoid the wall. But either way, brings us under caution. Just as things were starting to heat up a little bit. Lowell Jewell will now be the inside of row 2 as a result of the timing of the caution. James Lowe will get the outside line. And it was getting to where it seemed J.R. Shepard was getting boxed in behind Lowell Jewell, who started to struggle a little bit after burning up his stuff possibly on that short run.
Yeah, that was my biggest concern about Lowell Jewell there, is he couldn't even make it work on the outside when he had started to fall back. And you know, Belkey, he was able to save because he was stuck on the outside early. That kind of came into play for him later on as a benefit. And so things really just worked out very nicely for Austin Belkey there in the 24. And here as we work lap number 16 under yellow, I think he's definitely got to be feeling the best of all the drivers out there right now.
Thanks so as well, and keep in mind, we talked about this as well during the pre-race, that the 99 machine of James Lowe, as long as he doesn't get himself into any major trouble, is in line for the championship with that 16+ point advantage entering this evening. What a season it's been for James Lowe. Been very consistent, been very clean in a lot of races. He's had some bad luck in some of the other ones, but still one victory on the campaign for the 99. He is in 4th position. Just needs to stay where he's at to be able to clinch the championship for sure. Coming up to 83 laps to go. Your thoughts on what these drivers could try and adapt here if we get a longer green flag run?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of aggressive battling so far, a lot of side-by-side, and these drivers might want to give a little more space because, like we saw from Lowell Jewell, you don't even have to be in a battle here to really run through your equipment. And I'm worried that the conditions tonight are a little bit more perilous than we once thought. I think they might be eating up the tires a lot quicker than some of these drivers had anticipated. So they might want to give each other some space, make a long run happen, and focus on getting to the end, because their stuff is quickly falling off.
See how this restart goes with Austin Belke and Justin Morton 1-2, Lowell Jewell and James Lowe 3-4, Shepard and Thunhorst 5-6. Green flag's out. A great launch from Morton. He actually outpulls the 24 into turn 1, sends it up the racetrack, in fact, as he nearly goes to the wall. Still keeps it side by side for the lead as Morton gets the better pull.
That was a great jump. It was almost too good of a jump, like you mentioned, almost took it up inside the wall. And here they are, just as they started that restart. Neck and neck, Morton leads that lap.
Austin Belke's not giving up easily, though, on the bottom of the racetrack, but the pinch on down from Justin Morton allows him to clear the TDR machine. To the point, here comes James Lowe to provide the pressure, with Matthew Thunhorst trying to follow suit as well.
Couple of guys getting a little bit sideways in the back, but everyone keeps it pointed in the right direction.
Austin Belke's keeping the pressure up as James Lowe taking a different line, because he's now side by side as well with Thunhorst. Thunhorst gets loose next to him. Nearly got towards the quarter panel of the 99. Thunhorst clips the wall, in fact, as Mike Holloway goes around for the caution flag.
A very slow motion spin down to the infield grass here for the number 2 of Mike Holloway. I think this is, again, all by himself. He was underneath the 11 of Ruben Altus. Have to see if there was any contact here. I don't know about that.
He just snapped around.
I think it just took the air off of him on the inside.
There was also a bit of a pinch there for the 11. I think he was also trying to make sure he didn't come up the track into him.
Right, yeah. Just enough to send him sideways and bring out our third caution.
Re-racks and stacks up the field. Matthew Thunhorst with the scoring loops got third position in front of James Lowe. So that'll move him inside row 2. Biggest mover, by the way. Quiet run so far for Todd Liston. He's been able to take advantage of a couple of the spins, and he's up 6 positions on the race.
That second place for Hard Charger, that would go to Justin Morton, who's got the lead. Remember, he had to start back in 6th with the invert.
Yeah, that's a +5 for Morton. And Morton's an interesting driver because it's been talked about a lot that he's got a dirt racing background, known a lot for his skills on that side. He's also raced in various different other classes, including here in this series on the oval side. He's a very talented driver, Nicholas, in multiple different disciplines.
You know, that might be coming into handy tonight, that dirt background. We've seen a lot of these drivers, like we mentioned, the humidity and the air tonight here in hot, sticky Florida. And the track is going to be that way as well. And these guys are going to be slipping and sliding a lot, and I think that's played right into Morton's wheelhouse.
Question is, can he keep up the tires? We're already quarter way through the distance of this race. Lights are still on, I should say, on the iRacing pace car. Should get back underway with about 73 laps to go. As you can see, the clouds are not visible, but it's still overcast. The track temp has dipped down a degree. But remember, there is rubber buildup being put onto this track, and that temperature will kick up the more green flag laps you turn.
Just interested to see how rubbered in that outside line is going to get. We've seen some drivers try it, especially early, but that last run, it was kind of scattered. Drivers all over the track trying to really make full use of the whole width of the track. So they'll have to see how much that builds up on the outside.
Reset your field. It's Justin Morton, Austin Belke, Matthew Thunhorst, James Lowe, J.R. Shepard, Todd Liston, Lowell Jewell, Adam Sheen in the inversion spots. Pearson, Jason Mendo round out the top 10 currently on the racetrack. That caution flag as well. Put Dottie Moore back in the lead lap. All 16 drivers on the lead circuit. 73 to go. Justin Morton with a great launch.
Can't ask for much better than that. down into turn 1 all by himself. And in fact, Thunhorst is going to take second place away, it looks like.
The tough part's going to be trying to get fully clear of Austin Belke. He's setting it a little bit deeper on the brakes, the 8 machine is, compared to the 24. Wise is that to be able to make the pass. He is now clear into turn 1, giving some extra space just in case. It's looking like he's just afraid of coming across that front nose of Austin Belke before coming up. Now we'll have the chance to do so here as J.R. Shepard side by side with the 24.
And Shepard's got a lot of pace down there on that bottom line. He's going to get a big launch out of 2, I think. Oh, just nose to nose there.
Teammates wheel to wheel now with 70 laps to go as Shepard almost got himself clear off the corner. Austin Belke continuing to have to utilize that top line. J.R. Shepard a little bit more harder on the gas that time. Just about clear. Will get clear into turn 3.
Now Belke's going to have to worry about James Lowe.
James Lowe right now in 5th position. There is a bit of a battle behind them as well. Todd Liston and Adam Shane swapping spots. Shane moving up as we see the Hornets net start to really develop for 8th on back. The boss man Lil Jewel really struggling right now. Jason Menda goes up inside the top 8 as Bruce Pearson trying to make some moves around the 11 machine as this all goes on.
They battle further back, but I'll tell you, Justin Morton is really under pressure right now from Thunhorst for this race lead.
Matthew Thunhorst has shown great speed all campaign long. 1 victory, average finish of 2nd position. 271 total points. Came into the season late. He could be a contender for next season's championship. Now, he becomes a contender for this race lead as he goes side by side with his pal Justin Morton. Better run on the bottom of the racetrack against the yellow line. Thunhorst clears by Morton to take away the race lead.
And that has brought J.R. Shepard right into the picture as Belke got really sideways out of that turn.
Belke has already dropped back to 6th position. The top 3 now, Thunhorst, Morton, and Shepard all under a blanket. They've pulled away by 7/10 of a second from the rest of the pack. They're separated by just 3/10 amongst themselves, though. They'll follow along with Shepard. This is from the visor cam as he tries to make sure those tires don't get abused, but is looking very strong on the exit of turn 2 in particular right now.
Seems like he might be being a little more conservative here as he tries to patiently wait his turn here to get around Justin Morton. This is definitely the longest run we've had all night.
And he actually hit the wall down the back straightaway. That's going to lose him a little bit of time. He had been trying to wheel it right next to the yellow line, and that's something that's a mantra for some competitors, Nicholas, is try and get as close as you can to that inside line, and that's what he's doing on the corner exits in particular. The past couple laps, he's been pushing up the track by an extra 1/10 of a lane.
Yeah, that'll lose you a lot of momentum. And like you said, he washed up into the wall. He gets very close again there on the front stretch. He's got to be careful, got to get it under control. I honestly think he might be suffering from a little bit of tunnel vision sitting right behind Justin Morton.
He's had some very dominant races in this series, and he knows how to size up his competitors, just waiting for the right opportunity. It looks right now still is Shepard. Now he's backing up his corners. Morton taking the corners a little bit higher compared to Thunhorst at the moment as well. The gap between these drivers in the air pack, by the way, has grown to more than a second. James Lowe leading that next pack, followed by Adam Shane, who continues to have a very stellar run tonight, up 3 positions. He's one of the quicker cars on the track.
On board with Shane here. Take a look at what he's looking at, trying to get up there to that 99 of James Lowe. Looks pretty comfortable right now.
A similar line to Justin Morton on the entry in particular in that corner. You've seen Looking like he's a little bit deeper on the brakes as well, just trying to go for that diamond line. Of a bit of a struggle that time to try and diamond the corner in 3 and 4.
He's really got no pressure from behind from the likes of Austin Belke and Todd Liston. They're kind of in a battle of their own, so he can really go for it if he wanted to, as we're coming down to halfway here at New Smyrna.
56 to go, that time at the stripe. The lead has grown to 4/10 between Thunhorst and Morden. That has now spawned a bit of a battle in front of all this. As they run single file for 4th and 5th, they are side by side for 2nd position. Shepard taking a peek underneath Morden. Right to the quarter panel that time as he goes back to the yellow line. Morden, though, with the run on the outside line, and this is going to be the tough part, is getting the pass done. This is not an easy track to pass at once you wear in these tires.
He's certainly starting to get a little more aggressive, but the more and more you dive down there into the bottom line, the more and more sideways you're going to get, the more and more you're going to burn off the rear tire. You can see Shepard struggling for rear grip at the exit of turn 2 there.
Trying to keep up with Morden, instead loses about a 10th or so. Separation amongst them now 0.3 of a second, 53 laps to go this time, and Shepard's now changing up his line. He's trying to use the banking now as a bit of a ramp.
Yeah, he had no other choice. I think if he had kept dive bombing down there into the corner, I think it just would have killed his tires completely. Now he's got a great run, just can't do anything with it.
Again, had the check up on the back bumper of Morden. Once more, it's the banking of 1 and 2 as a ramp. Goes line off the back tires this time, but again, flirting with that outside wall, utilizing every inch possible at the halfway mark coming up in the next lap.
I can't believe Thunhorst hasn't been able to pull away more with these two like this.
Well, it's a good opportunity to think of this way, to be able to save, especially with still 50 laps this time by on the board.
Yeah, he's doing a phenomenal job at that, really gauging this battle behind him quite well.
By the way, Austin Belke and Todd Liston have started to form up side by side for 6th position behind all this. Should be worth noting that Belke forced up on the high line, Liston on the bottom. Still keep an eye on this race lead though. At Shepard tries to utilize that high line again. As we look back at that side by side now. It's in a bit of a bobble underneath the Different Path Motorsports machine. Drifts up the track. Belke leaves him some extra space. Liston tries to clear on by down the front stretch. Can't do so. Belke outbrakes him, in fact, into the corner.
Trying to use every inch of the asphalt here. I don't think Liston's going to be able to hold with him. He's going to have to fall back in line behind the 24.
They'll reset. See some of the times and the gap differential. It's already 4 seconds back of the race leaders.
Shepard's getting really sideways now.
Was about to say, Shepard drifted sideways coming off of turn 2 after going side by side just a couple laps ago. Let's take a look at the GSRC replay. You can see, had a great opportunity underneath for the side by side, but he got squirrely.
Man, great car control.
Takes a lot of skill to be able to hold on to these machines, keep in mind, Nicholas. So if you don't have that control of your car, then it's very difficult to be able to battle. Speaking of battles, Jason Mendon is in the midst of one, trying to hold on to the final inversion spot at the moment. Penalties, Mike Hallway, Lowell Jewell are all amongst this train of cars. Mike Allen also trying to hold on to the back end of the train. Kurt Smith, Donnie Moore also within a couple seconds of this range of this battle. Oh, and one car just popped to the bottom of the racetrack. You seen in the backdrop, that was Kurt Smith, who had a bit of an issue. I believe he may have tagged the outside wall. No, he actually got loose and nearly looped it to the inside.
Yeah, great job for Kurt Smith to hang on there. He was really struggling on the back stretch, carried over there to the front stretch. Here you see him. Oh, man, almost lose it right at the access road there.
Got very dangerous. By the way, J.R. Shepard has fallen off. He has dropped back to nearly a full second behind Matthew Thunhorst, but Justin Morton has picked up the pace. Morton wants the lead back, and he's going for it. Thunhorst gives him the space. Morton back to the lead.
With ease, he was able to take that. He got J.R. Shepard out of his mirrors. He was able to focus completely on Matt Thunhorst for the lead, and he took it just in that one swoop.
Now it's the matter of, will they continue to work like this? They've given themselves a lot of leeway, I've noticed, in this battle for the race lead tonight. Morton and Thunhorst have. Is there a point where you say, okay, I think I'm going to be faster now? Do I end up fighting back here for this checkered flag?
There might be, but it would take a lot from Thunhorst right now because Morton, I think, just turned the afterburners on.
Yeah, he is now running a full 1/10 of a second quicker compared to the 8 machine. You have to wonder, even with that battle, that he was able to save the tires a little bit more compared to Matthew. 37 laps to go. As meanwhile, Shane and Lowe are 4th and 5th. Adam Shane has moved up 4 spots in this race. This is 3 seconds behind your race leader. Incredible night for the 65 as you see the plus and minuses on the board. Several plus 5s. Lowell Jewell -10, Donnie Moore -13.
Donnie Moore had gone back to the pits. He is really struggling. A couple of laps down now.
Rough Grand National Series event for Donnie Moore. He's actually jumped out of the race car, Nicholas, too. He's had this situation several times where he's had some struggles this season compared to past where we've seen him run mid-pack. And now, tough break for him. Speaking of mid-pack, this is again the battle for the conversion spot. But now it's Mike Holloway keeping the pressure up. And this is one of the main things too, is when you have this type of pressure, it keeps you honest as a driver as well.
Yeah, it certainly does. There you see the 11 kind of fall to that pressure a little bit. Mike Holloway able to get by him on the outside, maybe? Yes, he will. Clears him out of turn number 2.
Mike Holloway, remember, had that spin earlier. And how do you feel those tires will be after that slide, especially in this battle? Because it can take a couple percentage points off your tires in sim.
Yeah, it'll heat it up in the short term. In the long run, you're gonna be starting with an uphill battle against your tires. Holloway's definitely been able to manage them, though. He's gone from 15th to 9th.
He has. Now it's the matter of, can he get to the 45 to get the first spot in the inversion or the season opener? And the interesting thing with next week's season opener to begin the next campaign is it's Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, which is another track where it can have multiple lines come into play, Nicholas.
Yeah, that's an old classic one. I'm sure a lot of these guys have some great memories there. A lot of it's a fan favorite for several people.
Indeed. 4/10 is the separation between the pals Justin Morton and Matthew Thunhorst. And keep in mind, Nicholas, it was Justin Morton who helped convince Matthew Thunhorst to compete in this series. They have worked together in the past, and in turn, Matthew Thunhorst has become one of the top competitors in this series week in, week out.
Yeah, careful what you ask for, I guess, because here they are battling for the lead in the season finale. And Thunhorst, we thought he might have used up his tires. I don't think he has. I think he's just had Morton get around him here and really just keeping him in reach here. They're both doing a great job saving their stuff, and Morton is not by any means getting away here.
Now he's definitely keeping the pressure up. You have to wonder if they're going to try and battle once more in the closing stages, indeed, as we come up to the final quarter of this race. As well, Mike Holloway and Jason Menda are now side by side, should be worth noting, for 8th position. That inversion spot now up for grabs as Menda try to utilize the high side, Mike Holloway the bottom.
Great job by Holloway tonight. Like you said, recovering from that spin he had early on. Oh, he's going to have another one.
Mike Holloway to the inside wall at the end of the racetrack. No caution yet. As Holloway turns it around, it will trigger the caution.
That looks so similar to his first one, too. Just all by himself, just got in too deep and couldn't quite keep it under control on exit.
Menda was giving him a lot of space here, too. A full car length, just about. Just again, the difference of the banking on the corner exit, just enough to loop him around. And this really makes things interesting because Shepard had dropped back by more than a second plus to Justin Morton. He's now back in the conversation here for the closing stages. This also allows Matthew Thunderhorse to be able to scrap for this race lead.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking, is this really does bring J.R. Shepard back in this. Thunderhorse and Morton have got to be so upset with that. They were having fun out there for 1 and 2, but now you got J.R. Shepard really big in your mirrors, and at a restart at New Smyrna, they might be in trouble up there on row number 1.
Never know what can happen, and it's going to be difficult to try and time this up on the start as well, because keep in mind, Justin Morton has aced the starts tonight. How do you try and handle that if you're the 8?
We've seen Morton really jump the gun here quickly, so J.R. Shepard, or Matthew Thunderhorse, like you said, is really just going to have to react nicely to that. I think he's going to have to focus on falling in underneath J.R. Shepard, or I should say on top of him there in second place. Because if you let Justin Morton get away, that's probably expected. You let J.R. Shepard get underneath you and take second away, then you're in trouble. Then you've probably thrown the race win away.
Speaking of wins, as the lights stay out on top of the iRacing pace car, it should be worth noting with Donnie Moore off the circuit here, Nicholas. This essentially means James Lowe will get a championship. It will become a new title winner in BRL Grand National Series competition. James Lowe currently running 5th position. 1 victory on the season. Come away at the end of the night with the title. Just a matter of closing things out. What do you think's going through James's mind, knowing he's essentially got it? All he's got to do is close it out well.
Yeah, with that security now, it could go either way. He might be more aggressive now. He's not afraid to throw this thing away because he's got the crown that matters, right? He's got the championship ring with his name on it being engraved as we speak. But other than that, he might just be he might be content there to sit back. He might let the guys up front run this race themselves. We'll have to see.
He is in 5th position once again for this restart. That's alongside Austin Belke. But it is Justin Morton, Matthew Thunderhorse, J.R. Shepard who have been the kings of the field tonight. They're 1, 2, 3 with 20 laps to go. Green flag is out, backing her way. Matthew Thunderhorse with some wheel spin. Justin Morton with an air great launch. The 8 machine, though, launched it in the corner, trying to keep it side by side. Justin Morton gives him some space now as he goes defensive.
A good start by Morton, but he couldn't keep that up on the backstretch because here comes Thunderhorse. He's gonna lead that lap as well.
Thunderhorse launching himself now on that top line. J.R. Shepard trying to take advantage to take away 2nd position. They go side by side for P2. 18 to go. Shepard now with a massive squeeze. He tries to pinch down the 9 as he slides all the way up to the wall. He takes 2nd at the stripe.
Thunderhorse wants these guys to stay side by side behind him. They are right now about 4 rows deep like that.
And look at Adam Shane. He's now trying to jump into a podium position. This will be one of the 65's best runs all season if he can complete the pass on Justin Morton. Morton has gone from the lead down to 4th position in the span of just 5 laps.
Yeah, this short run has been devastating for Justin Morton, and now you're seeing guys, like you said, Adam Shane to the outside, neck and neck with him, gets a nose ahead, and He has the advantage that lap around, but just taps the wall getting in here. He's got to stay consistent, got to stay up on it if he wants to get a podium here tonight.
Still keeping the pressure up though as Morton. He wants this podium position to close out the season. Edged down by the 65 once more with 15 laps to go. So while the race leader has checked out now by 7/10 of a second. Oh, what a slide by Shane. He nearly got himself clear, but lost it just about off the corner.
Yeah, he's been struggling with that grip tonight. We'll have to see. That's going to play nicely for Justin Morton, but here comes Shane again like nothing ever happened.
Morton now once more with another send. Is that too powerful of a send? Yes, indeed. Shane just about got fully clear for the corner entry. Austin Belke has joined the conversation as well. Well, was also dropped to 6th position, keep in mind, so that's something going to be noteworthy for the invert. Coming up to 12 laps to go this time. Shane now trying to get himself clear once more as Belke now able to get side by side with Morton as the 65 drops down. Coming up to 11 laps to go. Yes, indeed. Oh, and the caution.
Oh, we got a 2-car incident back here. This is Smith, Kurt Smith involved, and Mike Allen.
This changes everything, as Kurt Smith gets in the back end of Mike Allen for the caution.
First multi-car incident we've seen all night.
See one more look. You can see they're already bumper to bumper on the corner exit, the previous corner. Wow.
Great avoidance, great heads up by Bruce Pearson in the 22 there. He nearly made that a 3-car incident.
Here's Bruce Pearson.
Had the 59 of Allen sliding down, and at the last second, he took to the grass. Ooh.
With McCone just barely as well to avoid an unsafe pit entry as well.
Yeah.
But the big question now, I think, on everyone's minds is going to be what's going to happen for the battle for the race lead. We have under 10 laps to go, and Shepard is up to 2nd. Shane and Belke are up to 3rd and 4th after an incredible sequence where Morton got shuffled out. Just an incredible launch by that 8 machine, Nicholas, to be able to make that pass and then get that buffer.
Yeah, I've watched a lot of short track races. I did not expect that to happen. I thought Justin Morton had this thing in the bag, especially, I mean, he had such a good restart too. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I wonder what happened as well myself. Tough sequence for Morton. But now it's going to come down to about, it looks like 6 laps to do it. How do you try and set up the pass for the win if you're J.R. Shepard, Adam Shane, or anybody battling with Dunhorst?
You know, you would think it would come from a good restart, but I mean, that last restart was point in case why it might not come just from the restart. They are going to have a little bit of a run here. And like you said, 6 to go when they take the green flag here for presumably the last time. And yeah, you got to stay consistent, got to keep your line, and you got to focus on your own race. But that's easier said than done by quite a bit.
Remember, these two who are side by side had bumped and banged at South Boston for a checkered flag already this campaign. Will we see a repeat of that to close out season 6? We're about to find out. Green flag is out. J.R. Shepard, massive tire spin. Big Bob will cost him some time as he goes for the late break to try and utilize the outside.
A lot of tire spin, like you said, but J.R. Shepard's going to have a lot of time here to get this back. He's just got to size it up right.
5 laps to get there as we approach the point of no return. Final 5 laps of the season. Austin Pelkey was able to jump up to third position as well with that restart.
They are 3 wide way in the back. Hopefully they stay out of trouble so these guys can race. Oh, a little wiggle from Shepard.
Justin Morton has fallen all the way back into a battle for 6th position. A disastrous final 15 laps or so of this race now, as he's able to hold on to that position for now. Coming up to 3 laps to go though.
Fun Horse looks really good, as it looks like Liston might be in the wall in the back. They all stay green though. Everyone's all right.
Shepard now drags himself against the wall.
Oh, now we got a wreck back there.
Caution flag is out as thou end off the season. Jason Menda involved, and we're under yellow to close things out for the final 2 laps. Matthew Thunhorst hold on as a result. Jason Menda, a rough one to close things out for his season.
Holloway went up and over, tried to climb the fence here.
Take a look at this. Wow.
Right on board with the 2 here. A lot of damage for him. He gets that big contact up and over on his side and almost completely over and over. He ran into the Seneca there in the 61 as he came back down to all 4s.
This now brings us to the final lap of the season. For Matthew Thunhorst, an eventful campaign, taking home 1 victory earlier this season and having a fireworks-filled finish at South Boston. He'll add a second one here tonight to close out Season 6 of the BRL's Grand National Series. He is your winner at New Smyrna Speedway, but it will be James Lowe who will take home a title. James Lowe is your Season 6 champion. James Lowe's whole organization going to be very pumped up, just like Matthew Thunhorst is pumped up about how tonight fared out. A championship for Lowe, a win for Thunhorst. Gate Machine will get the chance to celebrate down the front stretch. The question is, will James Lowe join him?
He is.
Yes, indeed he will.
Gotta love it.
James Lowe is definitely going to love how things turned out this season. But with that, post-race coverage coming up in just a few moments. You're watching the Global SimRacing Channel for the BRL's Grand National Series. Welcome back to Global SimRacing Channel's coverage of the BRL's Grand National Series. Virtual New Smyrna Speedway, where Matthew Thunhorst took home the checker flag, but it was James Lowe who took home the championship. J.R. Shepard came home in second tonight. Austin Pelkey, Adam Shane round out the top four with James Lowe in fifth position to close out the campaign. Morton, Liston, and Altis rounded out the inversion spots. Kurt Smith finished in ninth tonight, with Ryan Senecal rounding out your top 10, Nicholas.
Mike Allen in the 59, he really took advantage of that late race wreck. He's going to move from dead last on the grid up to 11th, up 5 spots overall on the night. Bruce Pearson, he had that great wreck avoidance there in the second to last wreck we saw. From 10th to 12th, he goes tonight in the 22. Jason Menda, Mike Holloway, both having eventful nights as well. Lowell Jewell and Donnie Moore are going to be the DNFs tonight, 15th and 16th to wrap off the season.
Look top to bottom at your running order to close out the season. An eventful one and an eventful race for Matt Thunhorst. He's the one who takes home the checker flag under caution. First things first, Matt, how are you feeling about taking home your second victory of the season?
Pretty much from like lap 30 on, my heart was through my chest, just beating like crazy. So it's exciting. Kind of hate that Justin ended up losing out there on that restart where I passed him and ended up losing second. And the one elephant I want to address in the room before anyone thinks about it is that when I let him go, that wasn't for a team thing. That was because I had learned a lesson from JR too many times about saving my tires. So I thought, okay, maybe Justin's a lot faster than me. Maybe burn his stuff up. And thankfully, in the end, for me, it kind of paid out that way. And I had enough to hold off JR and pass him. So that wasn't a team move or anything. That was just me playing strategy. So
definitely understandable to be able to save the tires. And how critical was that to be able to save those tires in turn to be able to then make that pass back to be able to battle for the race win?
I mean, it was pretty important because when we were battling in the back, when I was, or not in the back, but, top 5 and all that, there was one point where I was getting in hot to the corners and I was about ready to punt James. And so I had to do a full lockup on the fronts and I thought I'd damaged my tires. And so I was just sitting there and playing with my brakes and all that. And when they started, catching me, I sat there and the white dashes I was using for brake markers and I'd back up one, they started getting me and I was like, okay, is this me saving tires? Am I fading? And I was hoping it was me saving. And it turned that much. And if I didn't have those tires and I didn't pull a restart like I did, you all would have been sitting there going nuts over Sobo 2.0. And I didn't want that bitter taste again.
Now, already next season, starting off next week, will we see you next week for the new season, trying to battle for the championship?
Yep. I plan to be back here this week, and I don't know with my schedule and all that if I'll be able to do a full season or if I'll just kind of do the majority of it kind of thing. Just kind of depends. I haven't seen the schedule itself when off days are, but yeah, I mean, if I have a chance to go for this championship, I'd absolutely enjoy to, but if not, kind of coming out here and do what I did this year or this season with just racing for wins and having fun with the guys, absolutely.
Anyone you want to thank for the run tonight?
Lowell, with the league and all that, and we visit Gargamel. That's the new sponsor for us next season. Yep, I'd like to thank them for coming on and sponsoring the Grand National Series as well, and I enjoy doing this with Justin, and want to say it was fun racing against JR, and just congrats to James championship win. So, and thank you all, GSRC for broadcasting this. So, thank you very much.
That's Matt Thunhorst coming home with the race victory tonight, his second of the campaign. J.R. Shepard comes home in second. He's with Nicholas Smeg.
J.R. Shepard, obviously a veteran of this sport here on iRacing, but J.R., a couple of late race cautions there. You find yourself in second. How'd you do it there at the end?
Yeah, I mean, it could not find the right lane if I had to early in the race, so I just kept getting held up, and a lot of hard racing there early. So it was either use up your rear tires a little bit or kind of ride behind those guys. And when you see Justin and Matt getting away, you got to stay somewhat close. So I chose to use the rear tires up a little bit, and still had plenty when we got to them there. But yeah, it's just extremely hard to pass, especially when you got two teammates that are that fast up front helping each other out. It's really tough.
Yeah, we had a very overcast, humid night here in Florida. Do you think that the warmer track temperatures really hurt you, or was that just starting from the back, kind of just an overall uphill battle all night for you?
Just an uphill battle from not really where we started, just getting held up on on a lot of the restarts, just for whatever was happening on the track. So I think you guys saw how fast Justin got to the front, and once you're able to do that, you can control the race and do what you need to do. So yeah, a little frustrating there, but you know, it is what it is. We still came home second. It's a good race, and could have been worse. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah, that's definitely the symbiotic, the fun and frustration of these short track racing. But JR, we know you had some scheduling complications this year, but next season we return. Do you have room for another trophy on your shelf?
It'd be nice to race for one, for sure. But you know, this season I took some time off, and you saw a lot of new guys up front that that got to race for the championship without having to worry about you know, me, Justin, or Matt being around all the time. So that aspect of it was cool too. But yeah, certainly if things work out, I'd like to stick around and try to get another one.
Awesome. Well, great way to cap off the season, and we hope to see you. Hope to see you there.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you for what you do for us.
Absolutely. We love being up here in the booth. That's J.R. Shepard coming home second place tonight for the season finale. Austin Belkey is up next with Justin Prince.
Yes, indeed. First things first, Austin, how would you describe your night in a up and down night where you were as far back as towards the battle for the last spots for the inversion positions?
Yeah, I'm pretty up and down. I mean, starting second, obviously we were up front, and then I made that pass for Lowell earlier in the race, and the car was just really hooked up well. I was trying to take care of my tires. And then, you know, keep doing all those restarts, and I'm terrible on restarts. I don't know if it's a Jeff Gordon paint scheme or just the skill that I have. It's probably a little bit of both, but I'm not very good on the restarts. So Justin was able to get by me, and then after that, it was just trying to hold on. And yeah, like you said, I was back there battling with Todd. I didn't make it easy on him to get around me because he kind of just cleared himself and chucked up the inside. So I raced him a little bit hard for that, and we were able to pull away after that. So I didn't feel too bad about racing him for it. And then, yeah, the last two restarts, we were able to start on the outside, and that really helped us. So overall, you know, good night.
Of course, a great night before tonight's action for the Grand National Series 2, a Street Stock Series Championship and a Tour Modified Championship. How does it feel to be champions in multiple BRL series as well? 2 of the 3 for Saturday nights.
Yeah, honestly, phenomenal. I kind of knew it was my time to shine when JR said he wasn't going to be here, so I knew I had to be on it every week, and luckily we were. Obviously, you know, these guys are a ton of fun to race with, so to even get one championship is just phenomenal for me. And when we're racing with, like, JR's got 5 KI rating, I think James has got 5, Matt's got 6. Of course, he missed the first race or 2 in the tours, but he was there all season long in the street stock. So yeah, pretty phenomenal feeling to go on and win 2 of them. I think the last person to do that was probably JR, probably last season. Of course, he probably won all 3 of them, but yeah, it feels really cool. I told my mom we'd have to find the champagne glass and fill it with milk like Jeff Gordon did when he won his championships.
Definitely going to be interesting to see that indeed, but have to ask, what's it going to take to win a championship in the Grand National Series to try and make the trifecta?
And I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm missing. Kenny said it too. We talk a lot throughout the season, and he said, I don't know if you're just better in the first 2 series or if you're just suckier in the last one or how that works. But there's definitely some skill gap, and I don't have these Grand National cars figured out as much as like JR, Matt, James, and Justin do. Justin did a phenomenal job. I mean, to be a race back and almost beat me in the points, even just to finish 3rd is a huge accomplishment.
Anyone you want to thank for your run tonight?
Yeah, I mean, you guys for being such great partners, Lowell for putting on the league, my parents, the good Lord, everybody for racing so clean, and JR. I mean, you can see the Different Path Motorsports sticker on on the rear end of the car there. He really helps out, and Kenny did too. Kenny helped me out a lot this season with lines and spotting, and we've been working together a lot. And Justin for racing me so clean all night.
Congratulations on the run this season.
Yeah, thank you.
Austin Belke coming home in third tonight. Also won 2 BRL championships, Street Stock and Tour Modified Series. But the driver who won the Grand National Series championship this season was James Lowe. James, how does it feel to be a champion?
Feels great, especially after, this wasn't the easiest season, especially for me. It seemed like I was in some chaos about every race there for 7 or 8 races in a row there. So it just felt good to actually just run. I found a little spot to just ride in, and, it was nice to come home with a 0X for once in a few weeks.
You mentioned some of the craziness with some of the incidents. What was kind of the mindset with this season to make sure you kept focused at the task at hand to score consistent points?
Well, that was the tough part. I mean, I knew I had the speed to come back up through the pack, but you kind of got to pick your battles there. And some weeks I would run up through there, and some weeks I would kind of hold off and just get whatever we could get. So it just kind of played out week by week, and depending on the track, and if I thought there was going to be any further carnage in front of me, I had to kind of judge for those things and kind of act appropriately there.
Now that you've won this championship, what's it going to take to keep up the momentum for next season to try and add on to this championship legacy? Because, of course, Shepard had dominated in the previous seasons. This year, it was you who was the most consistent.
Well, it's there'll definitely be a new champion for next season. I'm just going to run a few select races next year to tracks I really like Myrtle Beach and Nashville and places like that. Because I really, my daughter loves to go see racing, and Langley Speedway is right up the road from us. So I'm going to try to get out to a few races, especially the Hampton Heat here coming up. So I'll definitely be taking quite a few weeks off for the next season, but then I'll be back strong for the season after that.
With that, anyone you want to thank for your championship this season?
Yeah, I just thank my team, Balls Out Racing. Thank my family, my dad, my aunts, and my mom, my sister, and my buddies from the team. They've been watching all season long, so shout out to them. Lowell for putting this league on, man. It's a great league. He does a great job with it, and congratulations on Gargamel's Kitchen for coming on board for next season. And you guys for broadcasting, man. You do a great job.
Congratulations on the Season 6 championship.
Appreciate it, guys.
James Lowe, your champion for this season in the Grand National Series for BRL's competition. As we'd like to thank him, Matthew Thunhorst, J.R. Shepard, Austin Belke for taking the time with Speedless during post-race coverage. Nicholas, your final thoughts on how this race played out to close out what's been an eventful season with lots of big moments, lots of dominating performances, and some photo finishes.
Yeah, that was just phenomenal. And that's just a taste of what we're going to be seeing next year. So if you like that at all, stick around for sure, because this series, you got the new title sponsor coming out. You got Gargamel's. They're bringing a lot of energy. Really no clear-cut favorites to win races, to win it, to go contend for a championship. You have old names. You got new names coming up. You got new tracks that we haven't seen in quite a while, like Concord and Nashville. So a lot to look forward to, and just what a great way to cap things off tonight.
Absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see which drivers can come out on top for next season. But we'd like to thank you for tuning in for tonight's exciting race from the virtual New Smyrna Speedway. I'd like to thank the Bootleg Racing League for organizing this exciting series as well. We'd also like to thank the companies who provide the software and hardware for a broadcast listed up on screen. Special thanks to Jude Lauren, provides wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more for great work. Thanks to the team tonight in Nicholas and Sean. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. If you'd like to help support the channel, you can check out our merchandise for sale at gsrc.stormvy.com. Or you can check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. Don't forget to head over to YouTube page and hit that big red subscribe button as well as the notification bell so you don't miss a moment. Global SimRacing Channel. The new season heads to Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway next week, June the 26th. Coverage starts at approximately 8:50 p.m. Eastern Time. Green flag scheduled for approximately 9 p.m. Be sure to tune in. It's expected to be an intriguing season opener to begin the campaign. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.